The Joe Rogan Experience.
When I first got to Spotify, I was willing to do it for two reasons. One, because it was a ton of money, and two, because I wanted to be like 10% less famous.
Yeah.
I was like, wouldn't that be nice?
Boy, did that
I heard you
backfire.
said that to me.
Because people are like, oh, you're going to go into obscurity. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you'll be like Howard Stern. No one's going to... I was like, perfect. Perfect. Give me the money.
Yeah.
I got other interests, man.
Yeah,
Give me the
Were
loot.
were you at all nervous for Trump?
I was definitely hyped up. I was excited because I wanted to... There's a lot of questions I need to answer.
Did you
You
feel
know?
pressure?
No.
No
No,
pressure.
not pressure.
Pressure
No.
mean like make sure you covered
No.
everything you want to cover.
No. Just like I knew what was important.
Did you
not
prepare for it?
necessarily.
Like-
Yeah.
Did you
And-
ask him
but
why he was
also-
so pro-vaccine?
No, I didn't. But I also wanted to be rigid because there was a moment where he brought up the polio vaccine. I was like, oh, I don't want to correct him. I don't want to show like when the. Have you ever seen the chart of when polio actually dropped off
Yeah.
when the vaccine was introduced?
I
Or was
reference
at
it
the
all the
very
time.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a rough one. That's
Yeah.
when you look at the actual like. There's a bunch of them. Measles is another one,
But
and
you
you
wanna
look
get
at what
him
actually
involved in
happened.
Vaccine talk as a president.
Exactly. And I don't want to get involved in a podcast where there's a lot of shit I want to get to.
Yeah.
I want to know what the fuck is in the JFK files.
Did you?
You know,
That's
yeah,
what
we talked
what
about
did he say?
that.
I didn't see that part because I've seen
He
half.
said there's
so
a lot
far
of
I'm
people that
halfway
are
through.
still alive, and I said, okay, so that's why you wouldn't release it because some of the people that are going to be implicated are still alive. So what that's saying to me is that the government was involved. in the
100%.
assassin-
Everybody knows
But I
that.
said that, and he kind of like he danced a little.
The politician
he's
came out.
real, No, he just like he's real good at you ask him a question, and he starts to answer it, but then he takes you on a totally
weave.
different
The
route.
weave.
The weave.
You got to bring him back in, but you got to be respectful. So it's like I knew that that's the way he does it, but I'm like, I understand what you're doing, sir. But let's get it back to what I was asking
in.
you.
Yeah, you
What-
did that. You did that a couple
I
times.
was like, I want to know what that first fucking day is like, and I don't think I really got that answer out of him.
I don't think
'cause
he remembers.
I think he does. What I'm talking about is like this feeling of now you have to appoint 10,000 people, and now you have to figure out how this machine works
Wow.
when you've never governed at all, and they don't
Wow.
show you any of that when you're running for president. It's not like a training
The
program. Like,
details.
hey, Brendan, you might be president, so we're going to show you. This is how
Nothing.
deals get made.
Yeah.
This
I like
is
what he said about John Bolton. He said, "Yeah, he's a whack job, but you know what was cool about him? When I went to fucking Iran and I had John Bolton, they all knew he was a fuck. He was ready to drop bombs. He's called him a whack job, but he had his purpose.
John Bolton-
that kind of mindset. You know, the problem with the Trump stuff is just that the people look at the inflammatory things he
crazy
says,
shit.
the crazy shit, and they define him by that. But you
they
also
can't
have
get
to
over it.
remember this is a very bizarre combination of an entertainer and a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an entertainer that like. He's like a comedian, man. He says funny shit. He does it all the time.
very funny.
He's always when he
Constantly
makes fun
roasting.
of Biden.
Constantly roasting.
He's funny,
He's
man.
New York. He's very New
Yeah,
York.
I
he's
miss
a
the
good
fact that the nicknames he gives to people that they have to be
Tampon
funny.
Tim.
Yeah, if they weren't, if it wasn't
New scum?
funny, he wouldn't
Yeah.
use it. Like Tampon Tim.
Yeah,
But my
part of
point
his
came up with
genius
that?
my
see
point
where
is
you're from.
people don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
And they want to pretend that all these other people are somehow or another like morally better because you don't get to see the real them. Like, I don't buy that. I don't think you should either. I don't think that's how people really are. I think, and when you see over and over and over and over again the media manipulating things and lying about things to make him seem way worse than he
Call
is,
him Hitler?
you should be suspicious.
Yes.
You should be
There's
real
a reason why they're doing
suspicious.
that.
Exactly.
Joe,
Because
did-
they don't want to lose that job. They're in desperado mode now.
Did you have a different perspective after? You don't know him well, right?
I don't know him at all.
But
I
after sitting
literally
down for
never
3 hours-
had a conversation with him other than "nice to meet you, sir." And he complimented me. I said, "Thank you. You're really good at this UFC stuff."
Yeah,
like
no
that kind of
shit.
thing. Like, thank you, thank you, sir.
But after 3 hours, did you have a different impression of him or no?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a businessman. Bottom line, he likes making deals. That's what it is. Like that's his whole thing. And he's got this ability to just keep going. This is what's crazy. Like the podcast is 3 hours long. The guy didn't pee before the podcast. He didn't pee after the podcast.
Maybe he had a
just
little
left.
catheter.
Maybe
And he
he was
drinks
wearing a
more
diaper.
Diet Cokes than me.
But he didn't drink anything during the podcast.
Gangster.
He just sat here and we talked, and they were freaking out there because he was 2 hours late for something he was doing in Michigan. He didn't give a fuck. He's like, I know this is going to be bigger than that. Let's just keep going. We did 3 hours.
Damn.
But at the end of it, he's, I don't know him other than the 3 hours that I talked to him when he was trying to be at his best.
And
right?
Kamala Harris has not said yes yet.
She's not said no either. People keep saying she said no.
Her
I
team's
said I
smart.
would have a conversation with her like a human being. That's all I want to do. That's literally all I want to
But
do.
that's trouble
I want to
for
know
her.
what is it like to be. I don't even give a fuck about all the stuff she's talked about policies and all these different things. We know her positions.
Yep.
Like, who are you?
Just be
Who-
real.
Who are you?
The crazy thing
That's right.
with
That's exactly.
Kamala
That's
is
the most. She would be well served to step into
Yeah.
the lion's den.
No, she's
and
not, though,
take it
'cause she
on
can't do it.
and
I
be
would
honest.
be willing to talk about anything other than politics. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't
You-
give a
you wanna
fuck
know who she is.
Like if there were some certain things they didn't want to talk about, I'm like, fine, I don't care. Let's talk. I want to know who you are.
Yes.
I can find out who you
So do-
are if
so
we
do
can
the
talk
rest of
about
us.
sports.
So do
it's
the rest of
crazy
us.
how she does interview after interview and they're just like disasters, and you would think that
because
she would
they're
study
interviews.
and
This
just
is
like
the thing. They're
you know what I mean?
interviews. It's a fucked up way to talk that no one's used to doing. Here's the way it is. Here's a question. Give me an answer. And you're like, well, I think that it's not a fucking conversation. It's not a conversation. So it's a weird. So you're uncomfortable with your words and you're trying to get it out right. And you realize millions of people fucking hate you and don't think you should be in that position in the first place.
When she begins to answer a question with, "I'm glad you asked that. Thank you for that." I'm like, "Oh my god,
you knew it was
she's,
coming.
she's-
Good. It's
you know
good.
what's coming."
Well, she
It's like-
steers it back
when
to
she
the same
thanks
talking
you for
points.
asking a
What a
question
brilliant
about
question.
the 20 million illegals coming through the border unvetted. I'm glad you asked that.
No. She
What would you
steers
do
it back to
different?
the same
Nothing.
talking points. She steers it back to I'm a middle class. I come from a middle class family. I like small businesses. It always back to the same
And groceries,
five things.
they go, "What about inflation?" And then she goes, "It's everything." You're right. I'm glad you asked that question. Groceries,
I know.
Gas,
But she-
everything. Families are struggling.
Yeah. I know.
Families, and then
But no plan. There's no. I need to hear what you want
There's
to
no
do
policy.
about it.
Yeah,
you would
she has
think
no
her
idea.
handlers would go, "This is the plan." When they ask you about inflation, they say we're going to do this and
I'm
we're going to do
telling
that.
you, the
They don't tell her
the
shit.
way they're doing it is very unnatural. And if you take a person that clams up when they have to talk publicly and you put them in unnatural environments, you incite all kinds of anxiety inside
right.
of them. It's
That's
a
right.
terrible way to communicate.
I don't think this would go better for her. I just don't think it's her thing.
3 hours. If she gave
Brendan,
you 3
I'm trying to
hours.
sell it and you're
You
fucking
think
it up for me.
Sorry,
Maybe-
dude. Sorry.
God
dude.
damn it.
Maybe Kamala could sing or something.
No, I think if Samad.
You know what I mean? If she could sing, sign her to a bad boy record contract, you know what I mean? She'll blow
I
up.
think that company is going out of business. You might want to do some research.
Can you imagine the stock of bad boy right now? Whoa!
Bro, dudes are doing Kamala ads and moving to Europe.
Yeah, people always are tripping on the baby oil, right? With the Diddy thing, they're tripping on the baby, like 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I'm like, yeah, there's probably about 1,000 people at his parties, right? And everybody,
768 dildos.
That's
so
Wild
weird.
Boy.
Bro.
So overkill. Where are they going? Where are they
imagine,
going?
imagine a Diddy party with no lube. Come on, man. Come on,
painful,
man.
dog.
You gotta.
I bet he doesn't even. I bet Diddy's not even gay. I bet it's just he really enjoys fucking guys. Just so he said he
Power?
fucked them.
Yeah, it's a power move.
I bet it's a
Yeah.
crazy.
Does that make him gay, though?
Crazy. Yes, it does.
I'd say it would
Crazy,
make me gay.
drugged up power move.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not
I
fool.
can understand putting somebody in a headlock, but
Also,
fucking him, that's a lot.
filming everybody and having dirt on everybody, like it's a crazy
style.
organized crime. But it makes you think, like, is this guy doing it on his own?
No.
Like, who's above this motherfucker?
Is that? But
on,
is
Eddie.
that the
We both
case? Is he doing it on his own? Maybe
course
he's
not.
but maybe he is.
He's not. And also, it's funny the celebrities coming out to support Kamala. You're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you
All of them
doing?
moving to
and they're like
Europe.
dancing.
Yeah.
Like, we love Kamala. Usher.
Beyonce came out last night.
Yeah,
She
but
was
that,
all
that
like,
actually
"Yo,
hurts her. When
In
Americans see like
Texas.
somebody who's a billionaire support, it's like Beyonce. Most people don't have anything in common with her. So when
Yeah,
that happens, it doesn't usually
Yeah,
go well for
anybody that
politicians.
any celebrity that comes out and
They did it
supports
for Hillary
Kamala,
Clinton. Didn't
they
work for her.
probably went to parties. You know what I mean?
100%.
They probably
or they
did.
just
And
want to
they're
be
worried.
cool.
No,
But
no,
I
it's
just
not cool.
think it's really weird to ask someone who lies for a living what they think the president should be. That's a lot of actors. They're
Yes.
just professional liars. The
Correct.
whole thing
Pretending.
they're doing is they're pretending they're someone else.
You have to be if you
and
wanna
you
work.
want them to be super sincere when they tell you who to vote for.
Oh,
I believe it's
but who's
time
that
that a woman
influencing?
becomes
the
president.
fact that they keep pushing that Trump is Hitler and he promised to be a
Hey, yo,
dictator.
we're
It's a great
missing a
fight. Dan
banger
Ige
here.
and Murphy. Murphy's a motherfucker.
and
dude.
undefeated.
I hope Kamala says yes. 3 hours.
I
'Cause you
hope she
settle
says
into
yes
who
too.
you really are in 3 hours.
I don't
You
know if
can't
she would
hide
do
for
3 hours. They probably want to do like an hour.
You're gonna get 22 minutes.
I'll get an hour.
I don't know, man. 22 minutes.
22 minutes with bullet points.
You know, it's like no one knows who these fucking people are.
Right.
Get into her favorite sexual
But we do know who
positions.
Trump
I
is.
wouldn't.
We do know who
I think
Trump
someone
is,
at,
good or
didn't
bad.
that call her daddy girl? Didn't they start talking about bedroom stuff?
Yeah. I like cowgirl.
It's a very
Oh
good
my
comment.
goodness! Oh my goodness! You son of a bitch!
But really, reverse cowgirl on New Year's Eve and 4th of July, that's my favorite.
Well, she does. She gives good cooking tips. Ever see a good cooking tips?
Does she? What does she say?
Tells people how to
Use
cook,
beef
cook
tallow.
stuff.
Beef tallow.
She'll probably be like, no, seed oils are the best. They're getting a bad rap.
I like-
you
beef
got to
tallow is
stick
too
with
right wing.
seed oil.
Beef talow's too right wing.
Exactly.
I like
too broad.
sunflower oil.
Joe, did you ask Trump about the assassination? Like, there's nothing on it.
Yeah, I
There's
didn't
no one
ask him
asking
about
questions?
that. It's hard to corral him. Like I said, he's like very slippery. No, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. I mean that he just like he talks.
Yeah,
the guy's a
he goes.
gifted talker. He can just talk. You never have to worry about him running out of things to say. And sometimes he talks himself into corners, but he gets out of it, you know. But it's just like he free balls. That's what he does. And so when I was talking to him about the assassin, he was just joking around. He got it. We started talking about the UFC because I wanted to see the scar on his ear. He does have a little mark on his ear.
He did have a mark.
Yeah, he does
He
have
got shot.
It's a small mark on his, but your ear is filled with blood vessels. That's why it bleeds
bleeds a
so
lot,
much.
yeah.
It heals quick.
quickly, yeah.
So he was just talking about Bo Nickel and cauliflower ear. And next thing he wanted to talk about who's the best ever. Like
He
he's
didn't
a
want to
real
talk about it.
He's a real. Well, he did a little bit, but he said it was surreal when he won the presidency. It wasn't surreal when he got shot. I thought that was fascinating.
Wow.
He said being in the White House was surreal. He goes walking into Lincoln's bedroom. He goes, it was very surreal. Like,
Yeah.
but when he actually got into the White House, he said it just didn't make any sense. It was very, very surreal.
What-
he said getting shot did not seem surreal. He goes, he was on
Yeah.
the ground. He knew who he was. They thought he was shot all over the place because of the blood, because it was, the fog of confusion, and there's blood on his face, and nobody knew where he had been hit. So they were all, and they got him out of there. But when he stands up and says, "Fight, fight, fight," that is
but they've
one of the
erased
most
it.
The most American
things of all time.
ever.
Of all time.
Ever.
Of all time. That you can't fake that. That guy got shot. He didn't know if people were still out there shooting. Nobody knew what
That's
the fuck
real.
was going on. And that guy stood up and said, "Fight, fight, fight," and he got out of there.
What do you want to ask Kamala?
I want to talk to her like a human being. I would say, what is the experience like of being the vice president? You never had any kind of national exposure at this level. Like, what is that? What is the pressure of that like? Like, what's it like when you get in there, when you want to do things and you can't make them happen? Like, what do you think you could do differently as the president versus what you've been doing as the vice president? Is it frustrating to not be able to do the things you want to do? What do you think that you could do to fix certain things that the world thinks are a real problem in this country? Just give people.
Right. Give her some time.
I might not agree with her. I don't know. But let her talk.
Well, she was a DA. She had a big girl job. It's not like she had a real job.
I like how you say big girl job.
know what I mean?
Sexist piece
Yeah,
of
you
shit.
No,
piece of shit.
That's
What
a
a
big
piece
job.
of
It's just
shit.
a big job.
It's a good job.
It's a big boy, big girl job. It's a real job. But you know what I'm saying? Like being a DA is a real
It's
job.
a good job.
That's why I'm so surprised that she doesn't have more
Dude,
confidence.
it's a different skill talking in front of an audience when people hate you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a whole thing going
She's
on
got a
where the
sympathetic
amount
press.
no, it doesn't matter. The amount of people that don't think she should be there. She never won the primary. That's got to be in your head.
1% of the
you got,
primary she
You got
got.
put in there. You know it was kind of a coup.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Gaffigan even made that joke at
Yeah.
the Al
Yeah.
Smith dinner.
Yeah.
That it's kind of a coup.
And they're constantly telling her not to cackle, right? And then when she does, in her head, she's thinking, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm like, and
So she's
everyone's
in her
on the
head.
side
So
going,
she's-
fuck
Yeah.
you. Everybody on the side goes, shut the fuck.
It's a terrible way to find out who a person is. It's a terrible way. Debates are a terrible way.
has to be tough.
Talking publicly when you're reading off a teleprompter is a terrible way. The pressure, the amount of people that are fucking. Look,
Yeah.
I've been a host on a show before, and one of the things that happens is you get all these executives in your ear, and they're all telling you, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And it starts to fuck with your head.
Yes.
It fucks with your head.
So you
know,
would just talk to her. You just want to have a conversation.
a conversation.
Do not fucking cackle. Listen, like they're probably telling her,
all kinds of
you
shit.
Better keep
Yeah,
that
it
fucking
can't
mouth
be easy.
shut.
It can't
Also,
be easy.
she's going. Here's the deal, right? She's going from campaign stop to campaign stop to campaign stop. How much room is in there for reading? How much room is in there
No-
for
no room.
learning about these policies? How
You're not
much?
sleeping?